Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more is Morgan Veena. She is the former Chief of Staff to the U.S. Ambassador at the United Nations, Nikki Haley. Morgan is also the Vice President of Government Affairs at the Jewish Institute for National Security of America. Welcome to the show, Morgan.
Thank you for having me.
Morgan, what do you make of Barack Obama's statement? Is he basically saying what the White House cannot?
Perhaps President Obama should, instead of putting his finger on the scale with respect to this conflict, this is more of a matter of self-reflection, an opportunity for his own self-reflection as we look to the crisis in the Middle East right now. You know, the statement that he provided does not mention Iran once, perhaps because it was his own policy of appeasement that led to Iran's own rise to influence in the region. You know, in 2012, President Obama pursued a policy of appeasement. First, he failed to enforce his own red line when the Iranian-backed Syrian regime used chemical weapons on its own people. And then in 2015, he he kicked the nuclear can down the road with respect to Iran's nuclear program and the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. And so I think really when it comes down to this current crisis, President Obama doesn't really have a lot of credibility when it comes to strategic deterrence for the region.
Morgan, let's talk about the leaders who will be gathering later today at the UN to discuss the war. The situation in Gaza is currently alarming. Will there be any resolution? We know that there is a humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza as of now.
Indeed, the humanitarian crisis is very regrettable. I would note that this is the deliberate attempt by Hamas to use civilians as human shields. These terrorists relish in the fact that these civilians are suffering. Babies on ventilators are suffering because Hamas refuses to even allow their own people security and move to the south. I think it's really important to note here that the United Nations is a hotbed of anti-Israeli bias. I don't see the United Nations being a solution to this conflict. Calling for a ceasefire right now, and Israel needs to prosecute this war and defend its own people and its territory, I think is inappropriate at this time. The United States and others have said that Israel they have Israel's back, and Israel needs to take care of this threat against their people on their own schedule.
Right, Morgan, thank you so much for all those insights, and thanks for joining us on Gravitas tonight.
Thanks for having me.
WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.